Okay.
Okay. So after reading this book and listening to this chapter, chapter three, this is only chapter three. Okay. Um, I I walk into the nail salon and I'm kind of in a meditative process, just watching the person do their art and admiring it, and then thinking about all of these concepts that I just obtained from chapter three. And to absorb our understanding of attachment and non-possession and being present and in flow, I realized how much I don't do that. And I even carry it in my body. You can see there's certain postures and even the weight that I've put on that sort of protects my energy from the world because I have isolated so much from it. I have detached so much from it. I don't really care about the news. I know a rough idea of what's going on in the world, but I don't overthink that crap because it takes so much of my mental space. And I'm just focused on being more present with my children because I'm a homeschooler. I've got four kids. I'm trying to get through school and still run businesses and do collaborations and all of these sickness and in-laws in town, and it's so much to manage. But I found myself sitting and going, you know what? I know that my low toxic living mind is like, don't go do this. But this made me feel so pretty to be able to have my nails done and I came home and painted them myself. All I went in for was a fill because I'm cheap. And this gave me a blank canvas. So I sat down here for like 6 hours last night painting my nails, and it was my art and it was me. And it definitely feels like it gives me some strength in my nails. So even though I was worried about it because I felt like maybe it would negatively impact my ability to sense energy, because that's my hands are really important to that, especially when reading cards or doing Reiki. And
Mm.
I've learned that, wearing rings and especially not missing a finger, so wearing a ring on every hand will amplify the energy. So I've been playing around with it. And it's also really brought me into my feminine energy, which is what I wanted. I wanted to
Yeah.
be more in flow. I am very masculine by nature. I run the house. I'm the one
Mm.
that's in charge of things. I'm the one that gets stuff done.
Yeah.
I make it happen any which way I can to my own detriment. So, sitting in the nail salon and thinking about this idea of non-possessiveness and not being interested in the things of the world and, the pretty glittery things, right? I just sat in utter enjoyment of some care for myself.
Yeah.
You messaged me and you're like, the 8th is National Women's Day. What are we going to do for that? I'm like, what do women want? Like, what do they need right now? Because I can hear all kinds of things. A lot of women I hear repeatedly say, we want divine masculine to step up. But we have to remember that we have to balance that out, right? So leaning more into the feminine and being more dainty and precious. That's what it is for me, precious. It makes me feel precious, cared for, and loved. And that's
Yeah.
one thing that I didn't really feel like I had a lot of when I was a kid. And
Right.
to be fair, I don't really feel like I have a lot of that now in my partnerships, in many of my partnerships, in many of my friendships, my relationships. I've noticed this trend for me to do everything I can and sacrifice myself to please others. And a lot of
Mm.
that came from the dogma that I willingly grew myself in for many, many years.
Yeah.
And I realize now, and especially in studying more about Kriya and understanding what that means, I've been called to it repeatedly. I started out with just asanas. I didn't do any of the true yogic work when I started yoga. I did it for stretching the benefits. That's all I was doing.
Right.
Because I was very heavily Christian in that. And I wasn't trying to yoke myself with anything else. But then when I started to learn the truth and I started to see that the teachings are no different, it's just this added, twisted narrative, dogma, whatever you want, in every religion that keeps people thinking, oh, if I do this, then I can't do this, and being able to see that some of these principles are so universal and so simplistic and so basic. We are all one. So why would I wish harm on someone else or wish detriment on someone else if essentially that person is a part of me? But how many people do we hold resentment towards?
Yeah.
So it's
Including
been a
ourselves.
really been a really interesting question. What are we doing for International Women's Day? You tell me, Juliana, what are we doing?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
And I would love for people to comment what is it they want from the idea of woman as we emerge out of a heavily masculine, patriarchal,
Mm,
dominant situation. You know, we don't want to swing too far the other direction. We need to, I think that it's important that we find this balance or harmony within themselves. I'm not using the word balance. Balance implies equal on both sides all the time. To me, harmony is like sometimes you're in your feminine, sometimes you're in your masculine,
yeah.
right? And it's the way to think about for me masculine energy and feminine energy is like the a river where you have the banks of the river, might be stone structure, or might be a tree line, or dirt structure, some sort of structure that contains the river. But the river is then allowed to flow wherever it needs to go within that. And it might dive down into caves underneath, and it might come over waterfalls. It might splash up onto the sides. That is the container that's necessary to allow the feminine to do what it does in what is referred to in some, I think it's probably in Priya as well, is that and I haven't read it, so bear with me. Is the idea that there is, they call it chaos energy within the
Mhm.
feminine, the idea that the feminine is this untamed force that can be destructive, and it can be constructive. So thinking about like when you remodel a bathroom. I've been in and around construction my whole life. You deconstruct the structure of the bathroom, you tear out all the old, right? That's the chaos energy of deconstruction. You might reconstruct the container of it. You might move walls. You might create a shower where there was a bathtub, whatever the case is, but you create the structure of it with 2x4s and drywall and hardy board and things like that. And then you bring back in the pretty elements of it.
Mm,
Right. And then it's the glitter and the bling and the pretty white tiles and the beautiful patterns, and you get both sides of it, right? So you get the functionality of the bathroom, that is the masculine. You use the toilet, you shower, you wash your hands, style your hair, whatever you do. But then there is the time you spend in the bathtub where you just, or in the shower where you let the waters flow over you. And it is so much creativity in
mhm,
connection with water. There's so much flow that happens when I think about inspirational moments. So many of them came when I had a soaker bathtub and I could just be in that bathtub, and I
mhm,
would get all of this inspiration and downloads and energy flow and things like that because I was within the container of the bathtub but not contained within the bathtub, which can
mhm,
be hard for people to understand. But it is that that container allows enough structure that we don't fall apart and
yeah.
break apart and scatter, but not such hard, rigid structure that we can't flow and create.
Mm, I
Yeah.
love that.
National Women's Day. I do believe women have been contained within a box that is masculine structure and
Mhm,
told you must behave, react, respond, navigate life a certain series of ways. That was
mhm,
very masculine driven, whether that's from religion or government or education or whatever.
yeah.
And women, there is this process we go through with the Wild Woman's Way and the Wild Woman's Circle of really just busting the box open and allowing a free flowing of things and a movement and a whatever it feels it wants to be. And then we come back into the containment of intention. And then we allow again, settle in, surrender. And then it's the flow of
Mm.
manifestation.
I think in all fairness, women and men have been put into a box because God or the divine or whatever you choose to name it has been put into a box.
Yeah.
It's limited thinking, and we all are essentially part of one infinite mind.
Yeah.
I don't understand the limited thinking. Um, what do you think keeps women believing that they are not enough or not worthy of the attention and love that they deserve?
Um, Fear is a really strong programming element. So when you're deconstructing your existing life in order to find that whatever this essence is that is you, it means that much of what currently exists may change dramatically.
Yeah.
People, places, things, experiences, where you go to every Saturday, what you do on a Monday morning can change quite a lot. Um, Fear of the unknown. So we choose the comfortable no matter how painful that is. But there does come a point when the pull of our soul, the pull of our essence, and really it's kind of the screaming, if you will, the screaming of our essence is I think about rage practices, right? Where there is just screaming and beating sticks and things along those lines is it's our core essence, what we call the soul, has finally gotten loud enough that we say, this is too uncomfortable.
Mhm.
That is the point at which people begin to seek and turn and change and challenge and aren't as concerned about what they're going to quote unquote lose because they're more focused on what they're going to gain. But getting beyond that, oh, okay, so you mean I'm not going to have the same group of friends? You mean I might not work at the same job? I might not, maybe I won't work a job at all. Maybe I'll create something. These
Yeah,
kinds of
I feel
things break free, and that can be scary for people.
I definitely feel that our existence is a flourishing. We're meant to be kind of ever evolving, ever growing, ever expanding, and not just us here now, but also, outwardly, eternally, the expression of our energy signature, our soul essence, just continuing to ride that wave of eternity.
Yeah,
And knowing that we're all kind of networked in and connected to every other, it's such a beautiful thing. It's to me, it's like if you look at the astrology and you understand a little bit of how the planets are said to have different like harmonies, frequencies, and things like that, then you can see that each person actually has like their own song from the day that they were born.
yeah,
And it's
yeah.
really cool to think that
And
we're all just a little fractal of energy, and we can continue fractaling in our own lives. We can pivot, we can change, we can grow, we can expand, we can be whatever we need to be in that moment and just take that day for what it is. So,
yeah, yeah.
what a journey.
It is a journey. I think an important element for if someone is in a place of fear of the unknown, like I don't know what this is going to look like if I take this journey, is that first of all, there are very seldom major changes that happen. They're often very gradual and subtle. The other thing is you mentioned the threads that connect us all. There are people, places, things, experiences ready for people those that say, okay, I'm now going to open up to the opportunities of what come when I begin to play my own music, my own song.
Mhm.
And those experiences are going to they'll begin to feed me. They'll begin to feed this longing and hunger and hole, and we think we're going to meet a partner because they'll complete us, right? They'll make us whole. We're making ourselves whole by bringing up the essence of who we are by having interactions with people. And these may be short for a season, They may be for a reason, a single lesson, a phrase someone gives you, a book they hand you randomly out of the blue. They may say to you, "Hey, I was looking at this cool thing on YouTube. Check it out." And it's the breakthrough you needed for that moment.
Mm.
So they're there for a reason or a purpose. So maybe it's someone who is waiting for you to be ready to partner to do a cool business that helps to feed the world in spiritual, physical, mental, emotional ways. And as soon as that partner, as soon as you say, "I'm open to it, I'm available for it," it begins to show itself.
Mm.
It's an important thing to remember, and I think this helps with the fear portion of it until you deprogram all the fear. I think that the idea that everything is a lesson and not meant to harm you. There's no one attacking you. There's no one coming after you. It's meant to be a lesson, and when you learn that lesson, you embed that and you move forward.
Mm.
So it's like, I want to use the word gates, but I want to be careful because it's not like they're locked gates. These are gates that you have to walk through. And you might walk through a garden that needs a lot of tending and tilling and weeding. And you spend time in that garden, you tend, till, you weed, you learn, you read a book. As an example, the book you mentioned, something that someone gives you, you end up on a YouTube channel like Aubrey Marcus or ours or another one, and you spend an hour and a half and you're like, wow, I'm completely mind blown. And then we get to chew on what that means. Like, how does that apply to the experiences and the situations you have going on in your life? I think a key thing is to enjoy every piece of it and allow yourself to enjoy it as well.
Mm.
Even as I was on my spiritual awakening path, I remember we were invited to go see fireworks one time. And I was just annoyed. I'm sitting there like super annoyed at all the flashing and the banging and all this going on. And I look around and all these people are like, ooh, ah. And I thought, I'm not letting myself enjoy this. For
Mm.
whatever strange, odd reason, I've decided I need to resist it. I don't need to resist it. Let me just enjoy the fireworks. Let me enjoy the
Mm.
energy of people enjoying the fireworks with me. And it became a completely different situation. That lesson, that moment clearly has stuck with me because that was several years ago, is that I need to allow myself to enjoy what experiences I have, even the difficult ones. What are we learning from my son having so much car trouble? What is he learning about trusting, about being able to manage his own energy, his belief systems, his thoughts, etc.? What did he learn about where he's meant to be versus where he thought he was supposed to go? And so now he's talking about moving and things along those lines because he realizes that maybe his first thought was not his best thought. However, I think if he'd listened to his intuition, he might have had a different pathway. However, he's learned a lot. He's opened up a whole new opportunity for himself. He's opened up a whole new business opportunity for himself that he needed to know about. So he may feel like he's lost a year, but he hasn't lost a year. He's gained an infinite amount of connection with himself. And that is worth that time period.
I think that's a wonderful suggestion, just um, being able to have that self-awareness to realize that you are allowing yourself to enjoy the situation and to learn the lesson. I think the opportunity to see it as a lesson, whatever it might be, is where we bloom and grow the most. We can sit there and mope and complain and, all day long, but what gets done in the complaining? It's kind of like worrying, it's like a rocking chair. It gives you something to do, but it doesn't really get you anywhere. Complaining is the same kind of way.
Yeah.
And so often, myself included, I catch myself doing this. This is how I know, but this is, cultivation of self-awareness, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But realizing that actually I want to relate it to something that I heard in that book. And let me I realize I don't think we mentioned the book when we first started, but it was the Essential Guide to Kriya Yoga Practice.
Mm.
So we can always add a link for that. I'll send that over to you.
Yeah.
But you know, you mentioned being content in all things. And we see this even in Christian scriptures, right? But really understanding that we don't need to tie value, good, bad, or otherwise, to any circumstance or any person or any thing, we can just see it as, without judgment. And he said, if you find yourself struggling to do that, you may want to go back and look and see where you have a belief that you don't deserve to be content.
Yeah.
And I was like, whoa. So I think a lot of people do feel like they don't deserve, like your son, he didn't deserve to have a good vehicle. You
Yeah.
know, I definitely feel like I always have to be striving, striving, striving. I
Yeah.
feel like I have big energy and I have a lot I want to put out into the world. I have a lot of things I want to give back and do better. Like I see areas of weakness in the world and I want to be able to help more. But I
Yeah.
also realize that all of it has been a journey of self-discovery as I have remained self-aware. And I
Yeah.
think that's a big problem for a lot of folks is instead of facing, oh, I broke down and flipped out and screamed at somebody, instead of facing, okay, why did I do that?
Yeah.
What triggered that? Why did I react in that way instead of choosing to, take a breath and respond? And being self-aware, I think a lot of people are kind of afraid to face their shadows.
Mhm.
What would you suggest for people who are struggling to face their shadows?
Invest in coaching. Invest in someone who can walk the shadow with you, especially at the beginning.
Mm,
Fear is false evidence appearing real. So we may have been programmed that demons are going to harm us or that we're not strong enough, we don't carry enough light, that somehow, and even scripture doesn't tell us this. So somehow we've gotten the belief that the darkness is stronger than the light. But if you've ever watched a superhero movie, the darkness gets stronger and then it's overcome by the light, right? And really it has to expose itself.
yeah.
It has to be made evident. So if it's frightening to walk into the shadow, it's frightening to, and the shadow being like the emotional lived experience of a trauma becomes a shadow
Mhm.
because it is standing in front of the light, right? So it is blocking your desires, it's blocking your enjoyment of life, it's blocking your allowing of being taken care of, nurturing, knowing that you deserve so much more and you can ask for it and receive it, whatever that is.
Yes.
So don't be afraid to invest in pairing up with someone who is not afraid of the shadow. In fact, I go into the shadow and we have a little fun and we play. So because I don't see the shadow as scary. I see the shadow as almost like opening a book of all the lessons we need to learn. And that's what I
Mhm.
see as the shadow. And I've experienced enough negative, low, dark entities that most of them don't want to be in the shadow either. So they expose themselves through your experience for the opportunity to be transmuted into light as well. And so
Mhm.
I've often had client experiences where a dark shadow comes up and I say, "Why are you here? What is your lesson? Or what is your why is this experience happening?" And they'll say, "I don't want to be dark anymore. I don't want to be here anymore. I don't want to make people feel uncomfortable. Can you help me?" And so there's this presentation opportunity, and it's the ripple effect. It's the opportunity for you to take what is your shadow, transmute it into acceptance, love, understanding, learning, and then share it with someone else. And
Mhm.
that's the ripple effect. And that is how, as we are linked all together as one, we break the bonds of the shadow, we break the bonds of the low negative energy, whatever it is, and we all boats rise, right? All of humanity rises up. And those that are struggling the most will have an easier time as more of us commit to learning and knowing our shadow. The yin and the yang exists for a reason. There's light and darkness for a reason and a purpose. So there's nothing to fear.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I can look back on periods of my life where I was fearful to do things, fearful to say things. A lot of it did come from trauma. And I think that one of the best things that I have done is exactly what you suggested, invested in coaching. You know, the coaching that I have received from you and from other people, I feel like it was a sound investment because it grew me spiritually. Every experience grows me spiritually because I'm constantly aware, but
Right. Yeah.
the idea that another person can come along and mentor you and um, give you a better understanding of how to do things. Hey, I've walked this path before. And then one day you may be the mentor too. You know, I think that's such a wonderful thing. And it's part of the evolution of the feminine, I feel, you know, when you're young and you don't know a lot, you're that maiden energy, full of vibration, and you're just ready to take on the world. And then you go through motherhood and you realize that you are forced to rest and also not rest because you're pulled in all directions.
Right.
And you learn to value rest. So then when
Yes.
you're older, you are able to rest more, but now you're in a guidance state where I've already been there. I've already learned those lessons. Let me help you figure this out so you don't make the same
Gotta
mistake.
love the crone. Yep.
So it's been
Maiden, the mother, and the
a
crone.
fun
Um,
journey. I didn't used to want to be a girl. I mean, not that I wanted to, you know, change my gender or anything. I was always very resentful of my womanhood because to me, it was inconvenient.
right.
I had to worry about whether I was going to get pregnant. I had to worry about whether I had feminine hygiene products, you know,
Sure.
you
Sure.
know,
Yeah.
and also the fact that I tend to be very objectivized when I was younger. It was like people thought I was an easy target, you know, and always had to look over my shoulder, hyper vigilant, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I, I, I have heard in my circles that it's quite common for women to have experienced things like this or experienced dramatic events around their womanhood. And I want to work together with other women to heal this. And I know that there's so many different ways. I've seen all kinds of different journeys that people are taking. I will say that sisterhood has been essential,
Yeah.
absolutely essential to healing the feminine, to hear that so many of my sisters have gone through very similar experiences. And it's unfortunate to me. It makes me sad for them because I know and I've walked it. But at the same time, it gives me that sense of bondedness and community, a shared trait, you know, a shared event. And I think that a lot of folks are, as I once was, very isolated and they don't have community. So I love what you're doing here with the circle. How we're going to bring this together with the seekers and with the healers is going to be um, such a blessing. I
Yeah.
really believe that.
Yeah. Yeah. It's women are so powerful.
Mm.
And I think part of motherhood is learning to connect with your own power and your strength and your confidence. Um, so that when you step into crone, which is the season I'm in, right? Um, is to provide that solid, unwavering confidence that is it helps others to activate that within themselves. I'm not here to be that for someone else. I'm here to show someone that I've walked through it and here I am. Like, my theme for this week is, or my challenge for people this week was say no without saying I'm sorry attached to it.
Mm,
That comes from a place of confidence and knowing your boundaries. The circle is this opportunity to, so the foundational alchemy foundation, which is the seekers and learners, is an opportunity to set your foundations on what is empowering truth, independent of, it may weave in things like religious text, but it is independent of religious control. It may weave in different elements um, of knowing ourselves, and um, the whole idea of alchemy is bring together many different things and create from there, like baking a cake. It's along those lines, right? Some people like chocolate cake, some people like carrot cake, some people like lemon meringue pie, whatever it is, right? And then the with the healers is to activate healers within each community who can then amplify circles, amplify healing within their own communities. And again, as we rise the vibration of humanity, they say that there are some tipping points that we need to hit. We as we rise the vibration of humanity, we are no longer under the thumb of those that would choose to program us into fear, that would choose to program us to control or authority or to submit. And in doing so, we find that central empowerment that is internal within ourselves. And that really is at great level in connection with whatever you see as the creative force of the universe. So call it universe, God, creator, weaver, the great something. There are many names. And in connection with the earth, which is our magnetic force of resources, right?
hmm.
So that's the soil has nourishment for us. Just
I like to think of
experiences of
it.
nature as nourishment for us.
I like to think of it as almost like a battery. And you bring up nature, and it reminds me too of the coils that people put in their gardens, the copper coils to help things grow better. Same kind of concept as a battery, not our alkaline batteries, but you can create a battery with magnets pretty easily.
Yeah,
And the way that it continues to generate energy through that magnetism, and we are kind of in that field and in that awareness, and to be cognizant of the fact that we are affected by both that magnetism on a metaphysical level and on a level of being connected to the earth.
yeah,
And even, the tides and how the moon affects that, being able to find that ebb and flow has been, at least for me, quite a process.
yeah, yeah. I too was very masculine for many years, and found it very strange to like reconnect with a feminine energy of flowing and allowing and surrendering and meditation and peace and chill. Like you said, getting your nails done is a meditative kind of experience because you're allowing it to just flow through versus resisting, forcing, controlling, checklisting. Right. It shall be like this.
Yeah.
Um, and I had to, for me, because I was taught if you don't get it done, no one else will, which is such a lie.
Mm.
I mean, it is such an intense falsehood. And so that's one of the things I've been talking about with my son. He's like, I just don't like to ask for help. And I'm like, then you are limiting your ability to get stuff done by not asking for assistance because there are things you just can't do. There are things you don't have time to do. There are things you should be doing and letting someone else do instead of you. So, kick your ego to the back seat of the bus and bring several other people on with you and say, okay, you're really gifted and talented here. Can you please take care of this? Can you've got skills here. Can you please handle this? And I'm going to handle this piece of it, right? I'll be over here doing this. That in circle is another reason why they're so powerful. is because when we pull ego out of the conversation and we say, I'm here to hold space and create the container, you are all going to be, you bring the medicine, right? All of you in circle bring the medicine. And you may bring medicine for someone you've never met before by your story or by something you say or by
Mm,
sharing an experience. You may bring medicine for someone else. You know, and somebody may need the medicine of crying, but they don't feel comfortable crying. And when they see you cry, they go, oh, well, I guess it's okay to be vulnerable and to cry. And they will break down that barrier and let loose. Like the dam breaks and here comes the tears. And in circle, we hold each other through that process. Let the tears flow, sister. Let's go. One of my very, very good early mentors, she's now in the spirit realm. And she looked at me one day and she goes, girl, you need to ugly cry. I said, I don't do that. She goes, you need to ugly cry. Like it's going to hurt and then it'll feel better. And then it'll hurt and then it'll feel better and then it'll hurt and then it'll feel better. And then eventually now, like the tears flow and I don't have these extreme emotional experiences. I feel really good through it. That took time, right? Unpack all of the, I shoved down all the times I wanted to cry and wanted to hold it all in there. And it became fibromyalgia.
mm,
So allow, that we bring the medicine together in circle and we grow together. And I have met some of my favorite people in groups where we all come to the same thing and have a completely different experience because it's our own, right? It's our own experience. But if we stand alone back in the corner, we only know what we know. But if you step into the circle, you then know what everybody knows. And it's
mm,
through the energetic exchange of that knowledge and information and experience and frequency and song and sound and movement and everything that happens within circle. You have access to all of it.
mm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Funny. Um, I didn't exactly grow up with the belief that I couldn't ask for help. I grew up with the belief that if you want something done right, you have to do it yourself,
Yeah.
which is also just as destructive because then, not only are you facing not wanting to ask anyone for help, you're limiting your ability to work in teams and
Yeah.
you're striving for a perfectionism that's not realistic.
And stressful.
Yeah, letting go of the reins, that's a tough one.
Yeah.
And talking about crying, I probably need a good ugly cry too. It's funny, like I said, I'll cry at like movies. Pretty much every movie we watch as a family, I'm crying in it. Haven't
Oh,
seen that's
do they
just how I
do,
am.
do they hand you a box of Kleenex as soon as the movie starts? That it used to happen to me.
No, no, but at the sweet scenes, they all look over at me.
Yeah.
Is mom
Yep.
crying? Yes, mom's crying. Mom, stop crying. But to really have that sincere emotional cry, deep down in the depths of releasing kind of cry, I don't do that.
Mm,
I can cry at, the moments that are like the family got separated in the movie or they
yeah.
were reunited, I cry for either or. But I don't do that for myself.
Yeah.
Because I remember being told that I was going to be given something to cry about if I was
Mm.
doing the crying. So
There's a threat behind crying.
yes,
Yeah.
yes. And it does feel that way. Feeling vulnerable in that way definitely feels very much like a threat to me.
Oh. If you cry, then you'll be punished.
Yes.
Wow. I never made that connection till just now. Wow. And if you were raised in the 80s,
That's me.
70s and 80s,
Yeah.
right? Um, there still is that thought process, right?
Mhm.
We see it playing out in all kinds of situations all over the world, is that there is this implied threat with vulnerability.
Mm-hmm.
I was listening to some people talk about the situation that's going on in Eastern Europe right now. I don't want to put it in here for, getting
Yeah.
flack. And somebody made the comment that European leadership is very feminine. And I they were very negative about it. And the core element was that femininity means that as soon as their emotions change, they're going to change their mind. They're going to set on a different course. And so you can't trust that when you're talking about leading countries. You've got to be masculine and tough and strong and consistent and stay on the course and plan. So I obviously I'm just watching this and thinking about my response to that. There are moments when it is absolutely critical to stay the course. If you're lost in the woods and you need to get out to safety, you have to stay on the path, stay consistent, etc. When we're talking about relationship and community and human beings, there has to be an awareness of, I made a decision, I implemented this thing, it has an impact on people. I need to measure that impact, and maybe I need to slightly adjust and go a little different direction. That was seen as weakness. When we're talking about human beings and healing a complex nervous system and complex emotional structure, it's never linear. It's never linear.
Never.
Through my
It's a
healing journey
spiral.
for that with my clients, the witnesses I've seen, never linear.
Yeah.
And so we're lying to ourselves if we say we're going to set a course and stay on it for the rest of our lives, or
Mm-hmm.
even for a month for that matter, because sometimes new information comes through.
Exactly.
I said to my husband, he said, where are we going to live when we move? And I said, something will come up. And I was loosely looking at apartments.com and I was looking at rental houses and I was on Facebook Marketplace. I'm like, no. We get closer to the day we want to be moving. And he's like, we just don't have a place to live. Our realtor texted me and she goes, this house is coming up for rent. I want you guys to see it. And we have a few criteria we're looking at because of some things we're working on. So there's multiple pathways happening. And I didn't want to lock into a 12-month lease. I didn't want to spend $1,500 a month. I didn't, there were certain things that I was looking for. Well, guess what? This house opportunity meets all of my needs. I didn't find it. It's never been listed anywhere. It's because I made a connection to Pamela and Pamela knew the homeowner. The homeowner called Pamela and said, I'm having trouble. I need to rent my house out for a little while, but not long. And I don't want to become a landlord. And Pamela goes, I have the perfect couple for you. And so we're going to have this small house in town. It's in our budget. Oh, by the way, she needs work done on the house. So we can trade labor for rent. Like there's all these really super beneficial elements to it. So I trusted that we were going to be given what we needed. If I hadn't stayed on the path that we were going to be renting A, B, and C, I might have missed that opportunity. But I allowed for it to come in and I pivoted when it was there. And I went, oh, yeah, this is cool. This is perfect. Exactly what we're looking for. Nothing in storage anymore. Everything's going to be at the house. And then once we get our other stuff built, we'll just move there and we'll stay there. We're not moving. Well, I can't say we're never moving again, but the next move is Europe. So,
Mm.
and Doug's not ready for that. I was like, France or Italy? Which one? He goes, neither. I'm like, no, France or Italy. Which one? Um, so I think we can find a balance between we create a structure that is a governing system and then we flow. And I think that's part of the problem with government today is it moves glacial pace. Yet the
Mm-hmm.
world is snapping like this, right? There's no way that the current structures can keep up with the speed at which humanity is ascending and accelerating. And at some level, if we when we get to self-responsibility, self-governance, and operating in integrity and high vibration, we won't need any of those structures. We won't, because
Mhm.
we will support ourselves. The other beautiful thing about circle and activating people within community is we can become the leaders within our own communities that say, I don't think we need to do that for people anymore. Let's teach them this pathway. And we can do that within our own communities. And each
That's
community
huge.
rises.
That's absolutely huge. I um I love what you were talking about with, setting a strict course and only going that way. I've never been that way. I've had, dozens of jobs and I've learned a lot. I know a
Yeah,
lot of different things. I'm, the jack of all trades, master of none, better still than a master of one. So,
right?
but I realized that I've always been very kind of all over the place. Like I view it as tributaries of a river or
Yeah.
the way lightning branches out, it's all the same.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at my son, my oldest. He is kind of panicking over the fact that he's going to have to step into adulthood here soon.
Oh,
And I mean, in all fairness, it's not like we're booting him out of the house or anything. He's just
right.
going to have to, do adult things as soon as he graduates. And he's kind of like, I don't know what to do. I'm like, whatever you want for now. And if that changes, then go that route. It's just find ways to do what you want to do. And our journey, you said it's not linear. You're exactly right. It's not. It's this spiral. I know now, having been more self-aware and being understanding of those lessons that are going on in my life, I'll see where it's almost like I've passed one level of the lesson, but then I go a little bit further up the spiral staircase and oh, there's the lesson again. But now I
Right.
have to learn it on a different level, more profound. And
Yeah.
I've even seen this in like movies, reading the Bible. I mean, I've read my Bible dozens of times and seeing something new every time.
Sure.
Pink Floyd The Wall is one of my favorite movies. And there's always something new being revealed.
Yeah.
I love that as you have been able to ascend along your staircase, that you have been sharing your wisdom and how you have been able to be an example of how manifestation works, at least for me. Knowing that you got exactly what you needed is very poignant to me because just yesterday I was sitting with some of the principles that I had learned through this book about Kriya, and I realized that just being able to have that space and have that time and see that if I put it out there and release my worry about it, release my attention to it, don't focus on it because I already put it out there, exactly what I wanted. And then you relax and you flow and you let it be. And sure, sugar, it comes right on back exactly as you put it out there. But
Yeah.
so many times people allow fear and doubt and worry and insecurity, myself included. I'm calling myself out here. And we stunt our manifestations, we stunt our growth, and we pull ourselves right back into the bondage that maybe it was something that someone else had over us years ago, but now it's become our own bondage. It's kind of like Eight of Swords energy, you're in a prison of your own making. So I just want to offer our listeners the opportunity to come out of whatever prison they have themselves in, whatever box they've been stuck in, and live in their authentic truth and trust that, like you said, the world isn't out to get you. There are potentials for so much joy and so much abundance. And really, the only limiting thing is our mind and how we choose to shut our manifestations down and block our blessings.
Yeah. Very true. One realization that comes to mind along those lines is that we are, as we are the harmonization of masculine and feminine energies, light and dark, um, the integration as we move into higher levels of consciousness is the idea that we as the feminine receive. So we're receiving that energy and the masculine is outputting. And so if you're not in harmonization with those, it's going to be very hard to allow your manifestations to work. Because you will put in place, I need to do 7 things and I've got to get those done. And if I don't get them done, it's not going to, and then it's got to look like this and whatever. Those are very masculine ways of like designing, structuring. If you allow, so there is this balance between I have an intuition that this is what I want to do. It kind of comes down. Let's just say creator gives you an idea, right? Terrawin is my idea, right? The community that I'm going to be building. So Terrawin idea comes through. It flows in. I receive the idea. I immediately start to make decisions about it based on where the energy is stagnant, slow. Belief systems are stuck within the energy centers of the body or the chakras, the meridians of the body. Okay, so first thing it comes in and I go, that's a great idea. Well, I don't have any money for that, and I immediately stop it. Done. Right. And then I'll be sitting in meditation and ideas will come through for Terowin and all this cool stuff will be. So I'm in flow state, right? I'm in the feminine. I'm allowing. And so I get a notebook out and I start writing all these cool things out. We're going to do these retreats or it's going to look like this. We're going to have this, whatever, whatever. And then I immediately go into, yeah, but I don't have any property to build it on. Close it down, right? Then next opportunity when I'm relaxed, chilled out, flow state comes, feminine comes in, more ideas come through. And then maybe I might be to the point where I'm like, okay, well, I don't have the money and I don't have the land, but I'm going to allow for the place for the land to show itself to me. I'm going to allow for the opportunity for money to come through that's needed to make this happen. And our first, we'll only get so far. We have ceilings of manifestation until we break the ceilings, right? And the feminine is that destructive energy to break those ceilings. So if I need $4.5 million, which is what I need right now to get Darwin launched. If you'd asked me 2 years ago, I would have been looking to be like, let me buy a piece of property for $30,000 and I'll put up a couple of tents and we're going to make Tarot work on a really slim budget and I'm sure it'll work and we'll make a couple $100 a weekend. Terrawin is now a $5 million development. It is sitting on over $1 million piece of property. None of that funding came through me. It's all coming from other sources. I've been introduced to all these cool people. They are excited for the vision. We're getting ready to launch it. We start the feasibility study this week. I didn't have the funds for the feasibility study. One of the people that's excited about it with me is like, I'll pay for that. No problem. How do I do that? I'm like, I sent her the link. She paid for it. I asked for it to be provided. I did not know where it was coming from. And if it were coming to me and I would pay it, then fine, I'll do that. But in this case, she texted me. She's like, how much do you need? And I told her, and she goes, okay, fine. Let me know when I can pay it. Oh, awesome. So just like having the house. So there is this, I took steps forward that said, I told some people, I took the vision and I kind of put it in a PowerPoint presentation. I put it out on YouTube. I think 8 people have looked at it, right? But those 8 people might be interested, or they may know someone who's interested. They may know someone who hosts a retreat there, know someone who wants to come and stay there. All of these weaves and strings and cords that I don't see, that I don't know of yet come because I set in my flow state. I allow it to come through. I take some action. I go back into flow state. I allow it to come through. I take a little bit of action. So it is that in and out. Like tide comes in, we do some stuff, tide goes out, it manifests and creates. If we're standing on the shore and we're waiting for that wave to come back in, it might take a long time for that wave to come in. But if you go, yeah, the wave's coming back, and you keep walking along the beach and you're like, oh, the wave came back in. Oh, cool. It brought some new seashells in, or it brought some glass in, or it brought a starfish in, or whatever the case may be, right? That's what we're going for. That is really what we're going for. And as we talk about National Women's Day or International Women's Day, I guess I would encourage women to allow themselves to move into flow and then take action and kind of follow the waves and follow the patterns and stop trying to force it. We talk about standing in our power and our empowerment. And then we immediately take like this Superman stance, like, right? I'm powerful. And
Wonder Woman.
yeah, right? Wonder Woman. I don't know that that is a incorrect vision because sometimes we do have to be Wonder Woman. But then sometimes Wonder Woman takes the costume off and goes and takes a bath, right? She's
True.
like, I think I'm just gonna, my muscles hurt after that fight. I think I'm just gonna chill for a while. So being strong to take care of yourself is also strength.
Yeah.
Being strong to say no without apology is also strength.
Hmm.
Being able to say, I don't think I want to go out this Saturday night. I think I'm just gonna stay in and go do a bath and like take care of myself is also strength.
Yeah. No is a complete sentence.
It is a complete sentence. Nope, nope, not gonna do it.
Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, I even I like with my mom, she has these things, she has these notions about what how we should do things. And I've after at first you say, well, I don't think I want to do that, and here are the 12 reasons why. And she goes, yeah, but you still need to do it. I'm like, no, we're not gonna, Now I say to her, no, I don't think so. Well, but I think, no, we're not gonna do that.
Yeah.
It's a very different way of doing things. And she now honors our decisions more than when I gave the list of apologies and iterations.
Yeah.
So
I think it shows your own level of confidence and belief in yourself. If you believe in yourself and what you're doing, then she'll believe in you too.
we were in at their house at Christmas time, and we moved here to where we're at now with the intention of launching Terowin, and a lot of things didn't work out. And I wasn't willing to force them to happen, right? Because clearly the universe was going, nah, no, you haven't realized that it's not the right thing, but we're just going to keep slowing you down. And it actually has been a very good period of time for us. And it really has allowed for me to like bust through those ceilings to be able to willing to say, I need $4.5 million. And I know people have it. It's out there. It's
Oh
coming,
yeah.
right?
Yeah. Well, look at
So
how many new millionaires were made just during COVID.
absolutely. I mean, the people that we're working with to do the feasibility study, their pool of investors is $62 billion.
Goodness.
The other pool of investors I was just brought into, there's 850 investors. They don't know how many billions are in that pocket. Uh, for now, I want this, I want 1%, and then maybe I want 2%. Yes, I will live a better life. I will live a more luxurious life. I'll live an easy life. I won't look at, I might still look at price tags, but probably not. Um, and I will be able to do so much more. But by trusting and believing and taking the steps towards this and busting through my ceilings of belief, right? As I create the space that Terowin's going to be in, it is the opportunity for activation and transformation of thousands of people.
Yeah.
That's what it's for.
And it's absolutely necessary. Right now, in this day and age, it is absolutely necessary for more and more people to be doing this work, activating others to the truth of who they are.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hmm.
It's a joyful time.
Yeah.
It's not a, it's a, we are going through humanity's tower moment. And if you read tarot cards or you do runes, you know what the tower stands for. We have to deconstruct to envision and construct something that is new and transformational for humanity as a whole. Now, not everyone's going to choose it. That's okay. That's their choice. If they want to live in misery and they choose that, that's fine. You go out. I'd be happy to provide you with a house to live in misery in. I don't mind that, provide you with basic needs, but don't expect me to sit in misery with you. Here's your place for it to come out of misery. We'll be right here, right? But if you're not willing to live in misery, if you're no longer willing to live in that ramshackled shack of doubt and insecurity and belief that you don't deserve it, um, if you're not willing to do there, then we're creating this circle for that.
think I think a
Yeah.
lot of people live in that, lack or what if. Definitely encourage them to break these walls down and let the shadow out a little.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean you become an evil person. That doesn't mean that, there's something wrong with you. It just means that you have a chance to see another side of yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. I see the financial resources as tools for activation. They're tools for activation,
Yeah.
and um, as I can provide a space that is peaceful and harmonious, that is supportive of well-being on all levels, it um, however much money it takes to get there is what it is, and
Mm.
it'll be available. And it's not because I'm hoarding it. It's not because, I want it for myself. I'll take a little because I'm working hard and
Mm.
I'm sharing with others. It's not for the brag of having built a $4 million build out. It's the brag to say, I trusted, I heard, I acted, I listened, I allowed, and this is what's come out of it for everyone who's ready to take that activation. It starts with this alchemy circle. It starts to begin that ripple effect, like throwing the stone into the pond. For people that are somewhere along the journey, seekers, learners, practitioners, and healers, wherever you're at, that starts with the circle.
Mm.
And we can weave together a lot of medicine together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some of my favorite work, honestly. I had
Yeah.
a very, very, very beautiful and sobering uh, realization slash activation yesterday. I truly find such peace and such joy in studying all things spiritual, being connected to spirit,
Yeah.
taking time doing readings and reading people's energy and things like that. I realized that I've been so focused on trying to make something happen that I
Yeah.
haven't really been as connected as I could be, as I should be. Um, I'm excited for Circle. We're going to talk about a lot of different things, especially over in Seekers. I have quite a few ideas.
Yay.
It's going to be fun.
It
Yeah.
will be fun.
Remind our listeners when our launch is. Hold on.
April 2nd
April
is our
2nd.
launch date. If Oh, there'll be a link underneath this video to give us your email, and then we will put you into the list to make sure you get notifications of when things are open, and you can join into the membership. There's a small cost to it. It is an energetic exchange. We are committed to you, and you should be committed to yourself through a financial investment.
Mm.
Um, but we have kept it on the small side so that there is a commitment um, that is not so painful that you're
Mm.
unwilling to make it to yourself each month.
We believe in accessibility.
Yes, I think that's a great word. Great word. Um, and we'll meet bi-weekly, and there'll be an archive, a library, lots of things available within the community that we will not put into these, YouTube discussions, etc. Um, and then you'll get to meet a lot of cool people.
That's
All
the
the
best
cool smells.
part.
Yes. Yes. And get the medicine you need. Yeah.
and join us.
It'll be so fun.
Yes.
Lots of laughter. I'm sure there'll be tears. There'll be lots
Mm,
of whoa, aha, aha.
yeah, right
Yeah.
up my alley.
Yes, exactly. Those revelation moments, when you stop reading and you start telling somebody, like my husband was saying there, I'm like, you should hear what I just read. And he goes, yeah, revelation moments.
Love
Yeah.
it.
So brilliant. All right. So April 2nd is our kickoff date. Expect in the next couple weeks for them to be emails and then a place for you to sign up into the membership. Yay.
Perfect. All
So
right,
cool.
guys. I believe that's everything, right?
Enjoy and celebrate yourself on International Women's Day
Yes, please do
because
that.
you're awesome.
Something
You
nice to
are.
make yourself feel good.
Yes. Yeah. Do some dancing. I love
Yeah.
to dance. Yeah.
Mm, I'm getting ready to get off here and do some yoga because I didn't do yoga this morning. I got up a little later. It's rainy, and I
There
was
you
like,
go.
I decided to feel into the flow.
I got up and did my walk in the woods and did some work, some
Ah,
things there, and then I came in and linked all of my energy up before I got on today. So, yay.
I'm looking forward to a new place in the woods.
Yes. I'm excited. I'm excited.
So I have a couple of things to bring to your attention, but you can stop the recording whenever you want.